Dream health is good. And let's see if you're actually muted. Health is good. Yep, you need to mute us.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, evening, depending upon where you are. My name is Hammy the Hamster. I'll be covering for Marky today. Marky does work for Sysdig. He is part of the SIG contributors experience, as well as the 117 release shadow on the bug triage team. This is our community meeting on October 31st, 2019. I'm glad to have everybody here today. I want to thank you all for taking the time to spend with me and all of these fine people. I would like to remind everybody that we do have a community code of conduct, and really it just simply says, be hamster to one another, which is simply just be nice to one another. Can I get a note taker? It's a really fun thing, and if I could get one, that would be super, super awesome, and the hamster would. Thank you very, very much. Anyone? Because I've only got a hamster hand, and this is not going to work for me.
I got you, fam.
Oh, beautiful, detective. Thank you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you everybody for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started with the 117 release update. I am going to turn it over to the awesome release lead. Guinevere, may you please take over?
I even found my unmute button today. Hooray! Happy Halloween, everyone. I am here to talk about the process of the release as it is right now. We are in the phase of everyone hunkering down and writing as many features as fast as they possibly can. Code freeze is coming 2 weeks from now, November 14. So until then, all features have to be merged into the Kubernetes master branch, which will be forwarded nightly. Actually, I'll say that next. After code freeze, everyone has to follow the cherry pick process. So this is a time of much busyness. Next week, we'll be starting burn down meetings, which means the release team is going to follow the process not once a week, but 3 times a week. We will have regular meetings and check in on everybody. We also cut the first beta of 117 this week. Hooray! Yay, thank you. A special thanks to Stephen, who I believe live streamed that process. I wasn't there to witness it. We also created the 117 release branch, which until code freeze will be updated daily via all the changes that are coming into Kubernetes master branch. At the same time, we are removing the 113 jobs because that release as of now-ish is going to no longer be supported. The next patch releases are targeted for 11.13 for all supported branches. Do we have any questions? Oh, Stephen says the jobs are already removed, so that is done. Fantastic. Thank you, Stephen.
Gwyn, what are you dressed as? What is your costume, Gwyn?
I don't actually have a costume. It's really just a hat. I just look nice today.
And a beautiful hat at that.
Got everybody fooled.
That's it. That's the question.
Well, awesome. Thank you for that awesome release update and all of the awesome work that is going on the release team. Hammy the hamster is extremely proud of everybody. Okay, moving right along. We are going to go into the SIG release. I can't even say it right. SIG release update. Stefan, I am handing this over to you. I thank you for being here and also the awesome work you and the SIG release team do. Take it away, my friend. You are on mute.
Oh, I found my unmute button. Hey, everyone. I am Stephen Augustus. I'm one of the SIG release chairs. We're going to give you a quick update of what's been going on for the last cycle. Wow, can't use computers today. All right, can you see my screen okay? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Here we go. All right, so we're going to start off with the release team. Gwen gave a wonderful update since, well, let's talk a little bit about what happened in 1.16, as well as some of 1.17. So we have, for anyone who's been on these calls and been part of the release retrospectives, we've put an action item about firming up the feedback loop between SIG release and SIG scalability. There are often lots of late stage things that come up that are hard to debug or take a while to debug because they're scalability jobs, and some of those jobs will run for multiple hours or only run twice a day. So it's very important that we act as good citizens by working together. And over the last few cycles, we have met a lot more frequently with SIG scalability, from not at all to at least once a cycle to we're meeting at least twice a cycle now. So that's been pretty great. We have closed up. We've got a lot more information around their process, and there's always more room for improvement, but that has been going well over the last few cycles. So we have a role on the release team called the Emeritus Advisor, and the Emeritus Advisor is essentially responsible for acting as a continuity point across release cycles, acting as someone who has been on the release team before, kind of knows the ins and outs of that team, what's involved in the multiple roles within the team, and can kind of shed light on some darker areas that people may not be familiar with. So we created this role, I want to say in 1.14, maybe 1.14, 1.15, or maybe, yeah, probably 1.15. And it's been going really well. Josh Burkus kicked it off and had done a wonderful job in terms of getting people up to speed. One of the things that the Emeritus Advisor role is responsible for is mentoring the shadows that are on the release team, in addition to the role leads, right? So that has been having a senior member of the release team, someone who's been on the release team multiple times, was super useful for the shadows. We also now do shadow surveys, kind of like an exit survey, as well as a mentorship questionnaire for the leads, to see, just to kind of get a gut check about how people feel the process is going, what we can do to improve. And overall, the feedback has been pretty positive. So thank you, Josh. Thank myself, who's worked in the Emeritus Advisor role, as well as Claire, who is our current Emeritus Advisor and was our previous release team lead. One of the things I'd like to highlight is that the increased diversity across the release team. So last cycle we had a veritable rainbow of people across, I think, 5 of the 7 continents participating in the release team. So we made sure to kind of look out for making sure that we were diverse in location and company affiliation, ethnicity, gender identity, and I think the rough calculation was about 46% non-white male for the release team last cycle. And this cycle we've got a bunch of women in lead positions. So Gwen and Maria and Claire as Emeritus Advisor and Elena as CI Signal lead. So I think that overall we're doing a good job. We can always do better, but I'm excited to see just the wide swath of experiences and just backgrounds coming into the release team and being excited about contributing to the Kubernetes project. So outside of that, we had a great rally on the RC releases. We actually cut an additional RC to poke around at a few things before we released the .0. So a lot of people have this hesitancy to touch a .0. I know that it's it's true for me. Sometimes it's true for regardless of what the software is. People don't want to be the first people to touch a .0. So hats off to everyone who was involved in making sure that release 1 got out on time and was as bug-free as possible. So just a few, obviously the people on the release team, Jordan Liggett, Ben the Elder, Christoph, so many names that I could name that are involved in getting moving forward on those late stage bugs. So thank you all. Overall process and automation improvements for all of the roles. I think between this cycle and last, we've seen a lot of deleting roles, deleting responsibilities, deleting jobs, improving things that can be improved, wiring automation into our spreadsheets, the advent of the release notes website. So lots of interesting things have been happening in terms of process and automation improvement. We're constant process in looking for shadows. This is something that happens every cycle. It's something that people get pretty excited about, and we always have. I think the last few cycles we had about 80 people who are interested in being a shadow for the release team. So it's always nice to see that that level of interest. For I think one of the more stressful roles within the community. I also saw people filing exceptions for tests, making sure that they were increasing the test coverage of their enhancements before they got out of the door. So thank you for all the contributors that were extremely diligent about getting their enhancements out on time, and then also improving the test coverage around the overall code base. We shifted all of the release manager roles. You may already know about this. So the branch manager, patch release team had been done earlier, but all of those roles have been shifted out of the release team now, so that the release team can focus on what's happening this cycle, and the release managers can focus on how to build process around the overarching release process, right? And again, there was an uptick of test cleanup and deletion. So kudos to everyone on the CI Signal team who have been ruthless about cleaning up tests for the last few cycles. Specific shout outs to George and Elena, Maria, who's been around the process for a few cycles as well. Okay, enough release team, more stuff. So the release managers group, if you're not familiar with the release managers group already, it's basically it's a group that lives within the release engineering subproject of SIG Release, and it's composed of the patch release team, the branch managers, release manager associates. Release manager associates are kind of apprentices to the branch managers and patch release team. What we expect of the release manager associates is essentially to help us pay down some of the technical debt that we've been building up in the project over the last few years. The build admins are Googlers who are capable of cutting debs and RPMs for the project. So we're working on improvements to that process so that it can be done by not just Googlers but also community people. That has been going well. The SIG chairs are of course involved. As SIG chairs, we also act as release engineering, the release engineering subproject owners, which means we also have the keys. We are either part of these teams, like I am a branch manager, Tim is a patch release team member, Caleb has been on, has cut releases, has done branch management in the past as well. So we also have the keys to the kingdom. The buck stops with us. So if something goes wrong with the release, we still need to be able to execute on that. So we modeled this team kind of around what some of the processes that the product security committee has, and especially because we we are also responsible for being part of the feedback loop and the fix team for when CVEs are announced or when CVEs are quietly announced, right? So it's important that our processes fall in line closely with what the product security committee does day to day. So building a team that is rooted in trust. Again, these are people who have the keys to cut Kubernetes. So we need to make sure that they are active community members. They are interested and excited about that opportunity, and also care about the responsibility that's involved in that. And this all exists to build a contribution ladder around release engineering within the project. And we're also seeing a similar thing happen in like working group Kate's Infra right now, right? And that's an awesome effort. If you're not involved or interested, and you have SRE or production engineering experience, DevOps experience, hang out in the WG Kate's Infra channel as well. They are always looking for help. So more specifically on the release engineering side, we've been working on onboarding. The release manager associates. That has been an interesting process for me, because it's a lot of it is figuring out what I can show someone when they are, what I can allow someone to do when they don't have access to do the thing, right? Again, it's a role where we're building trust, and it's hard to gain the trust without being able to do the thing, but you can't do the thing without the trust. It's been an interesting dynamic, but I think we're moving along well there. We've started to wire up the release engineering jobs in CI. So for example, the way we do dev and RPM builds, that actually runs as those run as proud jobs now, at least testing the process, right? Not actually executing creating artifacts and uploading them anywhere. It just validates that the scripts that we have in place work. Cleaning up some of the process documentation. Again, this is Kubernetes release is a repo that has existed since I want to say 2016, maybe even earlier. So very early in the project, a lot of the scripts that are there have been there since close to the inception of the project. So kind of going through those scripts and starting to massage some of those things, and also writing about how they actually work, right? Creating build jobs. This happened recently. So as we're moving from Google-based infrastructure over to CNCF sponsored infrastructure, we need to test the way we build. Can we still build? Like, are we making the assumptions that we make about the build process? And specifically, I'm talking about like the CI Kubernetes build, right? So that's what pushes the artifacts into buckets for you to use. So if you've ever used a dl.kates.io link, that is landing in our GCS bucket, right? So replicating that process for the Kates infrastructure, right? Instead, so I have recently wired up build jobs, so those are running every hour now, just to make sure we're vetting that flow. Starting to rework the staging and release process. So I also want to get that into CI. So we're at least mocking what the stage looks like, and then eventually building a promotion job around that, right? So starting to move some of the people out of the way and move more automation into that process. As I was mentioning with the trust thing, we've established IAM roles for the release manager associates so that they have viewer access to GCP. So even if they can't execute on like running GCP Google Cloud build, they can at least see the build logs, right? And get a feel for the process, get a feel for what's happening. We started rewriting the K-release tooling in Go. We actually reviewed and merged the first PR today. The first one, well, it's been in progress for a while, but I finally cleaned that up, and it's been merged. So the first tool that's gone in is branch fast forward. So funny enough, we're in the branch fast forward period right now. So the branch fast forward tool is the first tool in that toolbox. The next one will probably be push build, which is used across lots of different jobs. So lots of progress there. Very excited about that. We're refactoring the deb and RPM packaging tools to fall more in line with. So the RPMs are built in Bash, and the debs are built with a Go script. We're trying to unify those two right now and provide a means of doing a declarative package build, right? So submitting a YAML to this tool and allowing it to having it define the dependencies for each of the packages that we kick out. So kubeadm, kubectl, kubelet, CRI tools, and Kubernetes CNI, right? There's a discussion around Hypercube out of tree in progress. We're actually going to talk about that in the code organization meeting, which is right after this. We'll see how that goes. I don't have an update there, but interesting things could happen. And finally, code base walkthroughs. So recently I recorded a few videos. One is around the image builder. So a lot of the projects are starting to use the image builder. I'm kind of calling it the GC builder because I refactored it a little bit so that it can arbitrarily run any Google Cloud build, provided you submit the right templates. So there is a walkthrough of that process and some of the PRs involved in that. There are also walkthroughs of the release process, right? So I did a walkthrough of the staging for 1.17 Alpha 3, and then a walkthrough of what it looks like to cut a branch of Kubernetes, as well as the PRs that are required to wire up CI jobs for that new branch. So go check those out when you get a chance if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So things we need from you. There will probably be a lot of announcements coming soon. We'll be at KubeCon. We have a few talks. Tim and I are doing a talk on the state of release engineering these days. And there will also be a release engineering talk with myself and Hannes around, it'll be a code walkthrough of the, it'll be a code walkthrough of the Kubernetes release repo. So as always, I think I copied and pasted this slide from the last thing because it is always true. Please pay attention to CI signal, work on deflaking your tests, work on making sure tests for your SIGs are owned and owners are notified of the failures for those tests. Make sure that you're actually acting on those failure notifications, especially if someone from the release team is reaching out to you and they land on master informing or master blocking boards. Please make the release team's job as easy as possible. And in the same vein, please pay attention to the release 1.17 schedule dates. Gwen I told you about those a little earlier, but we have a README that gives you a TLDR about all of those dates. So take a look at that when you get a chance. All right, so where to find us? We will be hanging out at KubeCon. I do not know if Caleb is going to be there. I think he probably will be. Tim and I will definitely be there because we're talking. We will be there. We are friendly people. Come hang out, come say hi. Our homepage is git.kates.io/community/sig release/readme. We also have git.kates.io/sig release. We have an entire repo dedicated to our documentation. We have multiple Slack channels. One is sig release. There's also release management, release CI signal, release comms. There are probably two I'm forgetting, but that's a good start. And finally, there's the Kubernetes SIG release mailing list. We also, the release engineering team is also available at releasemanagers@kubernetes.io if you need to reach us regarding release E stuff. Yeah, that's all I got. Any questions?
Can you drop a link to your slides in the notes, please?
For sure.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
You rock, and you know this. Thank you very much. That was very informative. Okay, so we did have work group machine learning. However, they're still in a little influx and they're getting their stuff together. So they've asked to punt until next month. I don't see that Paris is on. Paris, you still on by chance? Okay, well, Paris, if you're
Womp
watching this
womp.
later on, I was wondering what you were wearing. But you'll have to
Right?
tell us later.
What was the costume?
Yeah.
She's a skeleton,
And
right?
Free roaming phantasm? No idea.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move right into our announcements. One of the things I'd like to say, don't forget to register for the Contributor Summit. A lot of people are working super, super hard on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So please do register. We would love to see you there. Have fun, laugh. Hammy the hamster will not be there, but I've heard someone else is going to make an appearance. So stay tuned for that. Let's go right into shout outs. So shout outs for the last week. Dims gave a shout out to, and I'm going to butcher some of these names, so please do not take it personal. Bart's My Claw, for setting up and running the onboarding call for 70 plus folks for the work group K88 Infra. Super, super awesome there. If you have not gotten a chance to see that, I believe that video is up on YouTube. Daniel Lipovetsky, I'm not even going to try the @name, gave a shout out saying thank you to Neolit123 for always taking the time to help and mentor. You've been there for me and many others, and what seems like everywhere from KK to Kubeadmin to Docs and everything in between. Marquis, who's not here today, I'm filling in for him, gave a shout out to Guinevere, Chris, and Real for getting together to make the new contributor workshop awesome and for being such fine peoples to work with. That was not a misspelling. I like saying people. He likes saying peoples. Thank you very, very much for all that you do. That is it. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody want to talk about what they're doing? By the way, for everyone that has a costume on, super, super awesome. For those of you who don't worry about it. It's okay. Oh, 418. Nice. Well, in
Well
my
done.
fields
Well
area,
done.
thank you. Well
Shout
done.
out to Laura for best costume on the call.
418. Nice. That's good.
Everybody, have a happy Halloween. Be safe. Check your candy if you do eat it. Don't get too full. And I'll see you all online. Thank you for taking the time to join the community meeting on October 31st. Cheers, everybody.
Bye, y'all.